Didn't we just have one of these? Isn't this just an opportunity for feminists to man-hate? Do we really need an International Women's Day?
So are we in the position to celebrate Women's Day?
And the more I've spoken about feminism, the more I have realized that fighting for women's rights has too often become synonymous with man-hating. If there is one thing I know for certain, it is that this has to stop.
What comes to your mind when you think of Women's Day? Discount coupons for her, free drinks at the club, a day when the corporate is ready to hire female motivational speakers and comedians. A day flooded with memes, quotes, and posts about women on social media. Well, while we are busy making sense out of this, in the last few minutes, many women across the globe have faced violence. Many have decided not to speak about it. Many tried but failed. Many are contemplating their worth in the society. Many are working their way out like a boss, while many are still wondering why they got a lesser amount in their paycheck compared to their male colleagues. You know, Women's Day is much more than a simple let's paint everything pink and give women discount day. While the world trying to navigate through the idea of gender equality and safety in different arenas like international politics, corporate structure, society, and everyday life, do we even wonder what Women's Day actually symbolizes? Or if at all we are eligible to celebrate it? Let's find out in this video. The origins of Women's Day go further back than 1975 and are more radical than what we might expect from a day so widely celebrated. The impetus for establishing an International Women's Day can be traced back to New York City in February 1908, when thousands of women who were garment workers went on strike and marched through the city to protest against their working conditions. In honor of the anniversary of those strikes, which were ongoing for more than a year, National Women's Day was celebrated for the first time in the US on Feb 28, 1909, spearheaded by the Socialist Party of America. Led by the German campaigner and socialist Clara Zetkin, the idea to turn the day into an international movement advocating universal suffrage was established at the International Conference of Working Women in 1910. Zetkin was renowned as a passionate orator and advocate for working women's rights, and her efforts were crucial to the day's recognition throughout much of Europe in the early 1910s. Although International Women's Day had started with action from the women's labor movement in the US, it took on a truly revolutionary form in Russia in 1970. Just as Zetkin's idea was spreading through Europe, Russia was facing unrest for other reasons too. Russian women demanded and gained the right to vote in 1917 as a direct consequence of the March protest, and after more than 40,000 women and men took to the streets demanding universal suffrage. This made Russia the first major power to enact suffrage legislation for women, a year earlier than Britain and 3 years earlier than the United States. So what's the status now? Well, our foremothers did not leave any stone unturned in gaining some of the rights they understood as essential. But with time, the global and national prospects widened, and so did the need for rights and ideas like equality, justice, and security for all genders. But have we achieved that? Unfortunately, the pay gaps based on genders, the low statistics of female leaders, and the lower percentage of women in the male to female workforce ratio do not really give the green signal. However, women are working their way out. Men are acknowledging and subscribing to the idea of equal opportunities and talent over gender. But the change is slow and still in process. If we take a sneak peek into the violence reports, we might get, a bit unsettled. Globally, an estimated 736 million women, almost 1 in 3, have been subjected to physical and or sexual intimate partner violence, non-partner sexual violence, or both at least once in their life. And 30% of women are aged 15 and older. Globally, 81,000 women and girls were killed in 2020. Around 47,000, that is 58%, died at the hands of an intimate partner or a family member, which equals to a woman or a girl being killed every 11 minutes in their home. Cyber harassment, organ mutilation, sexual harassment, economic exploitation. There is a lot on the list. While we cannot overlook the dark side, we cannot stop addressing the bright one. There has been an additional of a considerably great workforce in different industries as compared to the lower numbers in the past decades. More female entrepreneurs and world leaders have taken a seat at the big table and are proving their talent to the world. More women are getting aware of their rights, independence, and financial opportunities. And when compared to the previous time frame, this one seems to have more dazzle, power, and authority added for the females by the females. So, in this plus minus situation, are we eligible to celebrate Women's Day? Let's hear out what some of our friends have to say.
The crime rates against women haven't really decreased in the past few years. The gender pay scale gap, again, hasn't seen a lot of difference. And in fact, the COVID-19 pandemic showed us how the domestic violence cases saw a jump in their numbers. So are we in the position to celebrate Women's Day when the very basic objective of providing safety, equal opportunities to the women in our house and outside is not being achieved? Maybe it sounds hypocritical to celebrate a single day dedicated to women when we are actually not achieving our goals. But at the same time, being optimistic, it is important for us to see Women's Day as a reminder that our goals haven't still been achieved, and it is important to keep on working towards them. So I think, yes, we might not exactly be fulfilling our goals towards providing and ensuring complete safety and complete equal opportunities to the women in our house and outside. But at the same time, we are definitely on a path to do so, and we should keep on working. And if an international recognized day can work as a reminder for us, then we should definitely celebrate.
Didn't we just have one of these? Isn't this just an opportunity for feminists to man hate? Do we really need an International Women's Day? These are some of the messages that concern me. We live in a world that prioritizes men, and as announced last year, we are 100 years away from having the actual gender equality. And for us to get to that stage, we need to elevate women, we need to push them as hard as we can, and we need to amplify their voices. And this is what International Women's Day is for. Well, we could be the lucky ones for whom our gender isn't holding us back, but then what about our international sisters? What about women in Nigeria, where men are legally allowed to beat their wives for the purpose of correcting them, and in Malta, where men are legally exempted from punishment for kidnapping a girl if he marries her, and in 100 plus countries where child marriages are still legal. These are the women who are fighting, and their voices need to be heard. So once we are on the equal footing, that is when we can actually question if we need an International Women's Day. But till then, I will use this annual celebration to admire some incredible women around me, to marvel at how far they have come while calling out the inequality and how far we.
So, this is what we had in mind. What is your take on Women's Day? Do you feel we are in the right place to celebrate it? Comment down your views below, subscribe to our channel, like our videos, and share them with fellow enthusiasts. Until we meet next, stay curious, stay awesome. Volt of Vokes, signing off.